Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Now we will continue with our previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we learned about depreciation, we learned about straight line depreciation, we learned about fractional period depreciation with half-year convention under straight line method. Now we'll be learning about declining balance method, and we'll be focusing on 150% declining balance method. Okay, so as we have seen in the graph previously, in the accelerated depreciation method, what we have is in the earlier years of an asset estimated useful life, the depreciation expense is higher than in the later years. And the depreciation which is going to be calculated will be depending on the formula, which is remaining book value into accelerated depreciation rate for both double declining balance method and 150% declining balance method. I hope this is clear with all of you. Okay. So this is going to be the formula which we are going to use. Okay. The accelerated depreciation expense will be equal to remaining book value into accelerated depreciation rate. In case of 150%, this accelerated depreciation rate will be calculated by this formula, that is 1.5 divided by useful life. So if the asset life is 5 years, then we'll have 1.5 divided by 5, okay, which will give us 0.3. In percentage, it would be 30%. Whereas in case if the life is 10 years, okay, then it's going to be 1.5 divided by 10, which will give us 0.15, and which is equal to 15%. So I hope this is clear to all of you. So now continuing with the same example we did for straight line. Here the cost of the equipment is 24,000. Residual value is 3,000 and the life is 5 years. So according to the formula, the remaining book value, since in this start we have zero accumulated depreciation, so the cost is the remaining book value. So 24,000 multiplied by 1.5 divided by 5, since 5 is the useful life, which comes out to be 30%. So 24,000 multiplied by 30% gives us 7,200. 7,200 as the depreciation expense. So since we are required, will be required to prepare depreciation schedule. So in the first year, it's going to be 24,000 into 30, which will give us 7,200. Accumulated depreciation would be 7,200, and the book value would be 24,000 minus 7,200, which will give us 16,800. Next year, 16,800 into 30% will give us 5,440. This will be added to 7,200, which comes out to be 12,240. And we are going to subtract 5,040 from 16,800. We are left with 11,760. In the third year, we'll have 11,760 into 30%, and we'll have depreciation expense, which is 3,528. We'll add this to 12,240. We get 15,768. We'll minus this 3,528 from 11,760. We are left with 8,232. In 150 declining balance method, in the last 2 years, we are not going to continue with the same formula. Instead, we are going to use remaining book value minus residual value divided by 2. So this is going to be the formula which we are going to use. Okay. So it's going to be remaining book value minus residual value whole divided by 2. So in this case, it's going to be 8,232 minus 3,000 divided by 2, which will give us 2,616 as depreciation expense for the next 2 years. This amount will be added to cumulative depreciation and minus from the last year value. We are left with 5,616. The next year, we will have again the same depreciation expense, which will be added to the cumulative depreciation, and we have 21,000 as the final cumulative depreciation, and we are left with book value, which is 3,000. I hope that's clear with all of you. So if we see in both straight line and 150%, the accumulated, that is the total depreciation charge over 5 years are same. So in straight line, we have equal depreciation charge each year, whereas in case of 150%, we have higher depreciation charge in the early years with decreasing depreciation in the later years. So now, continuing with the same example, same exercise we did in the last class, in the last lecture, but now we'll be using the same data to calculate and prepare depreciation schedule table under 150 declining balance method. Okay. So here we'll have the cost is 40,000. So 40,000 into 30,000 gives us 12,000. We are left with book value, which is 28,000. Next year, 28,000 into 30 will give us 8,400. This 8,400 will be added to 12,000. We'll get 20,400. This 8,400 will be minus from 28. We'll be left with 19,600. Next year, 19,600 multiplied by 30% gives us 5,580. This amount will be added to the accumulated depreciation of the previous year. We get 26,280. And this 5,880 will be minus from 19,600. We are left with 13,720. And now we will be switching to a straight line method. So 13,720 minus 5,000 divided by 2 gives us depreciation expense for the next 2 years, which is 4,360. These amounts will be added to the accumulated depreciation of the previous year and minus from the book value of the previous year. So in the last, we have 35,000 as the total accumulated depreciation, and we have book value equal to the salvage value or the residual value. I hope this is clear with all of you. Thank you. In a case of any questions, you may ask.